So you're thinking about making that move to Chicago, Illinois, but you don't know nothing about Chicago. Well, you found the right video today because I'm going to break down some of the basics that you need to know before you decide to make that move to Chicago. All right. And you're going to want to stick around to the end of this video because I got some hidden secrets and some gems I'm going to share with you that's really going to make you seem like an expert and not like a tourist. All right. So stick around to the end, but we're about to get after it right now. Let's go. If this is your first time on this channel, you want to know everything there is to know about living in Chicago and the neighboring suburbs, then subscribe below and tap the bell for notifications so you can be the first to know about the current market in Chicago. Hey, what's up? It's your boy Marlon here with my team, and we get calls, texts, and emails from people just like you. That's right, just like you, looking to make that move to Chicago, and we absolutely love it. So what I want you to do is to not hesitate. Give us a call, shoot us a text, send us an email. Whether you're moving in 9 days or you're moving in 90 days, it does not matter, right? So we can help you make a smooth move to the city of Chicago. But all right, we're getting after it right now today, and we're talking about, all there is to know about Chicago, some of the basics. We're going to be talking about, where the suburbs are. We're going to be talking about where the north side is, where the south side is, where's the west side of Chicago, right? So you're going to learn about all of that today. So you can be well equipped when you decide to, go ahead and set foot in Chicago, go ahead and move to Chicago. All right. So let's kind of break it down today. All right. All right. We're going to be starting with the downtown area. Okay. So let's kind of break it down, right? The downtown area is where everything is going to be, right? Everything that you're going to could hope to be. That's where it gets really packed in the summertime. Like right now, it's the summertime in Chicago, and it gets extremely packed in the downtown area of Chicago, right? We got tourists coming here. We have people, visiting because, when it gets cold outside, people flee Chicago. But when it gets hot outside, people flock to Chicago. Okay. So just keep that in mind, right? When you're deciding to come here, it does get extra crowded in the summertime, and especially right now too, in Chicago in 2024, they're having the NASCAR, some NASCAR races downtown in Chicago, right? So they got streets blocked off. It's people down there. It's crazy, right? We just had the 4th of July a couple days ago. The Navy Pier was packed. Okay, when I say it was packed, it was packed. There was people everywhere, right, trying to see them fireworks. Okay, so I mean, the city did go up that day too. So that's that. So that's just kind of some of the things that are happening, every single day here in the summertime in Chicago, Illinois. All right. But downtown is where a lot of stuff's going to happen. It's going to be where Lake Michigan, it's where you're going to be closest to Lake Michigan, all of that great stuff, right? The Magnificent Mile, the Bean, the Buckingham Fountain, Millennium Park, all of that stuff is, we're going to keep diving into more of that stuff. And I'm already getting a little ahead of myself. You can kind of see my excitement, right? Okay. So, but let's kind of dial it back here. All right. So let's go back. Let's kind of pull up here a Google map so you can see exactly what I'm talking about, right? Where's the north side? Where's the south side? Where's the west side? Where's the east side of Chicago? I'm about to pull it up right now. So follow. All right. So we got the Google map pulled up right here in front of me, right? As you can see, I have Chicago, Illinois right here, dead center for us. All right. And I really like Chicago. All right. Let's kind of get rid of this here. Sorry about that. All right. But right, I really love Chicago. Been here all my life, right? Can't see myself staying anywhere else. Love traveling though. Love visiting other different cities, staying there for a couple days or a couple weeks. That I do love as well. But I know I love my city. All right. So here's Chicago right here. You can see to the right is Lake Michigan, of course, right? Over here is the pier area, right? Look at Navy Pier. Absolutely gorgeous out there, right? It's the summertime again, and what they do at, in Lake Michigan in the summertime is there's like a huge boat scene, especially when we have the air and water show in Chicago, right? There's boats everywhere. People are outside. They're lit on their yachts, right? If you got a yacht, and you want to, kind of get out of the little lakes and rivers and streams, then come out here to Lake Michigan, right? It's going to be a whole different experience for you. I promise you that. All right. So, but this is Navy Pier. Navy Pier is going to be close to the east side of Chicago here. So over here, sorry, I keep zooming in there, right? So we got Northwestern here, right? Over here by Northwestern and kind of Navy Pier, you can kind of see we have East Ontario, East Ohio, East Grand Ave, right? East Illinois, right? So this is kind of over east in Chicago here. I want to make sure you knew that. So just keep that in mind, they have the water tower place here, the Museum of Ice Cream in Chicago, right? Definitely go check that out. Here we have the Magnificent Mile. This is where all of your prime time and pristine shopping is, right? If you haven't been to the Magnificent Mile in Chicago, I highly suggest checking that out. Get on your 2 feet, get down there, go walk on the street, see the locals, go into some of the, different shops and retail stores. There's very, very nice clothing there as well. So, just got to go check it out. Honestly, if you haven't been here, I definitely suggest you doing that. But that's where it's going to be, kind of over here in the downtown area towards the east side of Chicago, really close to the Navy Pier area as well. All right. So as we zoom out here a little bit, I want to kind of point out some things so you kind of know here. Let's kind of zoom back out, right, where we see Chicago. All right. So as you can see, Chicago is, if we zoom out even more, as you can see, Chicago is right by Lake Michigan, right? So Lake Michigan is literally to the right here, right? All of this water in blue. So Chicago is right here by Lake Michigan. So everything is really mostly west of Chicago, all right? But of course, right, if you know your directions, right, up here, right here by River North, that's the north side of Chicago. And it continues to go up here by Lincoln Park. These are some other very known neighborhoods of Chicago, right? We got Bucktown here. We have Wicker Park, right? We have Westtown, Logan Square, right? This is considered North Chicago, okay? Right, let's keep zooming out, right? Lakeview, right? This is where the Cubs are going to play. They're going to play at Wrigley Field, okay? So if you ever come, to Chicago to go see a Cubs game, you're most likely going to be at Wrigley Field here, which is on the north side of Chicago. All right, so they have a lot of different things here on the north side, like the Lincoln Park Zoo. I suggest checking that out. They're actually doing a thing right now where they're going to have like, some pop-up bars and some open things, some open nights and karaoke at the Lincoln Park Zoo for the summertime. So they're always doing different types of stuff there. So if you haven't checked out Lincoln Park Zoo, definitely go do that. But yeah, let's just keep going, right? So this here that was the north side, right? And the north side is really nice. There's a train that goes to the north side. The north side is very nice part of Chicago. They generally have the more high scale homes and more of the upper price homes as well. So if you're looking for a home in Chicago, on the north side, more than likely, right? Just be prepared for that, okay? But here's Gold Coast as well. So these are some other different areas that you may find yourself looking in or shopping in if you're looking for a new home in Chicago, or at least close to the downtown area of Chicago. Then these are some of your options here. Definitely some great options. Okay, so that's going to be that. Now let's talk about, right, the west side. We talked about the east side of Chicago. We talked about the north side of Chicago. Now let's talk about the west side of Chicago, okay? Most of you may know west side, right, 290. If you don't know, that is mainly, the expressway that's going to bring you in and out of Chicago from the west side, right? That's why they call it the 290 expressway, or west side 290, okay? But nonetheless, right, that's some lingo for you. If you ever hear somebody say that, just know that they're from out west, okay? And, some things to note about out west is, they have some good areas and some okay areas, and they have some areas you don't want to be in, when at the wrong time, okay? So we'll just say that. And then, close to the west side, right, they have the United Center, right? West Loop is also a very, very nice part of downtown area, right? They have a bunch of restaurants, right? Cheap boutiques, right? All type of great things, in West Loop. Okay, so that's not part of the west side of Chicago. That's part of downtown Chicago. Okay, so if you ever find yourself in West Loop, just have a good time. Okay, but kind of as we zoom in here, right? Here's the United Center, right? You got the Malcolm X College there, and then here's the Willis Tower up here. If you haven't even seen the Willis Tower, the tallest tower in the United States, that's in Chicago, come on down here and go see it, man. You definitely got to see it. It's something that you cannot miss. They got the platform that you could walk out on, the sky deck, walk out on that, right, and look down and see how high you up, or how high you are up in this building. It's really incredible, and it's kind of breathtaking as well. We even have the tilt, where you can kind of tilt over the John Hancock building. That's not in the Willis Tower, but you can definitely tilt over the John Hancock building and experience that as well. All that stuff is great to do. So definitely got to get to Chicago. There's so much stuff. I really can go on and on. All right, but the west side, right? Really, the west side is, if you keep taking 290 west, right, you're gonna reach over here, right? Where's Garfield Park? right? You got Oak Park, you got Berwyn, okay? You got Forest Park, Maywood, right? Broadview. Now, these are some suburbs of the West Side. It's not necessarily downtown Chicago. So these are some suburbs of the West Side, like Oak Park, Forest Park, River Forest, Maywood, Bellwood, right? Broadview. Okay. So some of those are some suburbs of the West Side, um, that are okay. Okay. So I'll just say that. So now that's going to be the West Side of Chicago. Now, pretty straightforward, right? It's just west of Chicago. It's not really too hard. Now, same thing for the South Side of Chicago. Literally everything just south of Chicago, down the no, excuse me, down the 90 expressway is going to be South Chicago, right? Here's a landmark I have marked here. It's called Guaranteed Rate. So this is going to be where the White Sox play. Right now, Chicago's not having the best sports years, right? We'll just say that, right? We haven't been having the best sports years. Literally, all of our teams have had losing records this last year in 2023, 2024, which kind of sucks for us, right? So pray for us, please. Pray for us sports fans here in Chicago that we get some help, right? Send us some help from your old city that you're moving from, all right? But nonetheless, right, we're going to be all right here in Chicago, right? But this is where the White Sox play at Guaranteed Rate Field, right there on the south side of Chicago. So there is some friendly rivalry there, right? With the north side, people supporting the Cubs, and the south side, people supporting the White Sox, right? There's some friendly competition there. But when Chicago wins, man, hey, we all celebrate, honestly. All right. But that's going to be that, right? So some neighborhoods on the south side of Chicago are going to be like Bridgeport, right? We got Bronzeville. Hyde Park is a big one. Hyde Park is right there. As you can see, this is Millennium Park here, right? Hyde Park is very close to Millennium Park, and Grant Park over here by the museums. See, here's a history museum. And then there is Hyde Park is over here by Washington Park and by there it is, Jackson Park, right? Got Jackson Park over here. And we have right, there's Hyde Park. Okay. So definitely some landmarks there that you can check out, even the art museum, art center right here as well. So, just different things all over Chicago. It really doesn't matter where you are. There's always going to be something to do nearby as well. Okay. So just kind of point out some more areas on the south side of Chicago. It's going to be Inglewood right here. Don't want to necessarily get caught up in Inglewood at the wrong time. So just keep that in mind. Okay. But areas like South Shore, that's okay. As you continue to go further south, you'll run into areas like Blue Island or Oak Lawn, or places like Dalton or South Holland, right? As you kind of get more and more south, the areas to say that they kind of get a little bit better, okay? So just keep your head up. If you are on the south side of Chicago and you don't necessarily know where you are or what you're doing, okay? So just keep your head on the swivel if that's you. If it's not you, you're probably okay there. And you can come and go as you please. But on the south side is also going to be Chicago Midway International Airport. All right, so that's going to be the airport that you fly into. If you kind of mostly stay closer to the south side, if you fly into OHare, you're going to be closer to the north side of Chicago. Okay, so depending on where you're trying to get to, and how much you're trying to pay for an Uber or a taxi, what I'm saying, fly into the right airport. That's what I got to tell you. But all right, as we kind of keep zooming out here, there's another zoo, the Brookfield Zoo, that you can stop and check out, if you're kind of on the west side of Chicago, basically. But here's OHare, right? So you can see OHare's up there and Midway's way down there. Okay, so two different things. All right, but as you can see, these are kind of the neighborhoods of Chicago, right? So if you hear people say they're from a neighborhood of Chicago, not the suburbs, because people be feeling some type of way, right? When you say you're from the suburbs, or if you're from the suburbs and you say you're from the city, they be feeling some type of way about that. So don't worry about that. That's just something that Chicago people have. All right. But places like Oak Park, Berwyn, Cicero, Little Village, Bridgeport, these are all neighborhoods of Chicago. Logan Square, Lakeview, Lincoln Park, right? Neighborhoods of Chicago. But if you're talking about suburbs of Chicago, really you start hitting the suburbs after you pass 294 here. Right, here's 294, kind of running straight down the middle of Chicago, kind of splitting it between the suburbs and the neighborhoods of Chicago, honestly. Okay, so kind of over here, you'll have Lombard. These are the suburbs of Chicago, right? Addison, you got Wheaton, you got Naperville, which is way, way west of Chicago, about 45 minutes outside of Chicago. You got Schaumburg way up here on the north side, northwest of Chicago. Okay, you can kind of see here as we continue to zoom out, right? There are some pretty populated cities on the west suburbs of Chicago. There's some pretty nice cities like Naperville, Aurora. You know, Joliet is actually pretty big as well in that area. It's really historic as well. If you ever find yourself in Joliet, right, it really has some history there. But as we kind of keep going around here, Evanston on the north side of Chicago is also a very widely known suburb. So if you're in Evanston or anything like that, definitely know that, you know, you're okay there. But yeah, this is kind of mostly kind of me showing you around the area here and what's, you know, around Chicago, right? And as you kind of continue to go outside of Chicago, you'll find yourself, you know, in some of these other suburbs, Lockport, right, Homer Glen, or you might find yourself in Orland Park. Orland Park is a really nice one as well. You got Elgin. Elgin's like way far outside of Chicago, right? About, you know, maybe 45 or an hour drive into Chicago. So just keep that in mind. You know, got to decide how close you want to be to the downtown area, right? And when you are closer to the downtown area, here's the first gem I'm going to share with you is that you're a little bit more compact, right? When you're in the city, right, this is urban living, right? You're close together. It's dense living, right? And most of the houses in Chicago still are kind of sitting there from when they were first built, when Chicago was kind of coming up as a city. They built a lot of bungalows in the city, kind of right next to each other. And some of those neighborhoods are still around. So, you know, and they're trying to revamp or remodel those bungalows, but they're not doing it as fast as they probably could be doing. So you know, just keep that in mind. If that's something that you're looking for, those houses are out there. Some of them are really big, you know, so just got to kind of find the one that you're looking for. We can help you do that, right? Again, so give us a call, shoot us, text us, email, so we can do that for you if you're trying to make that move to Chicago, all right? But that's what this is going to be, kind of showing you around here, showing you some of the areas here. So that's going to be nice. Now, they do have trains that take you all over Chicago, the north side of Chicago, the south side of Chicago. They take you to the west side of Chicago. They take you, even if you are, you know, want to get on the metro, you can get all the way to the suburbs of Chicago, right? You can get to Naperville on the metro. You can get to Joliet on the metro. So, you know, you can even get over here to Schaumburg on the metro. So even if you are, you know, living in the suburbs and you need to get to the city, maybe for work, I wouldn't live that far away. But if that's you and you live in, you know, one of the suburbs, you need to get to the city regularly, then hey, the metro is definitely a great option, right? It runs all day, you know, back and forth from the suburbs to the city. All right. So definitely an option for you, especially, hey, look, if you want to just take the family down there, you don't want to pay a whole bunch of money, right, to drive down there, park the car. You already know how that goes, right? You got to pay all that extra money just to go to the city. And then, you know, they're going to eat you alive as soon as you get out the car as well. So at least eat your money alive, your pockets alive. All right. So if you don't want to do that, hop on the train, take the kids, take the wife down there, right? Then go ahead and after you do that, go ahead and just catch a quick Uber to wherever you're trying to go and maybe get a bike and bike around, right? Enjoy the city for a day there. That way you're going to save some money there. So that was a quick tip for you and the gem kind of all wrapped in one, all right? But this is what this is going to conclude our kind of map tour of Chicago. Hope that makes some sense for you. So we're going to stop that there. But if you like this video, please give us a like. So I'm going to go ahead and take down the share screen. But if you like this video, please give us a like, give us a comment, give us a subscribe button, hit that subscribe button, turn on your notifications so you can be the first to know about the current market here in Chicago, right? And until I can see you next time in the city, until you give us a call, peace.